The driver of the other car swears that he wasn't speeding. You, however, turn around and say, you know he was speeding and he caused your accident. How do we show whether or not the driver of the other car was speeding? Would you like to learn the answer? Come join me as I share with you this great information. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York car accident attorney practicing law here in the state of New York. There are a couple of key ways that we can show whether or not the driver of the other car was actually speeding. Now, in every type of case, every type of car accident case, I always want to know whether or not the driver of the other car was speeding. Why is that? Because I want to know whether the driver violated the rules of the road. So let's say the speed limit is 30 miles an hour and there's a suspicion, a belief that that driver was actually going 50 miles an hour or more. And now, if the driver was going above the speed limit, that could be some evidence of negligence, of carelessness. And now, if the case goes to trial, the jury will be allowed to consider why this person was speeding and what effect it had. So now, how do we show that somebody was actually speeding? Well, one of the things that I do during the course of pretrial testimony, also known as a deposition, and it's also known as an examination before trial. And all the questions and all the answers get actually recorded by a stenographer and put into the form of a booklet known as a transcript. And testifying during pretrial testimony is the same thing as if you are testifying at trial. So now, one of the things that I do during this pretrial testimony is I'm going to establish from the driver of the other car, the one who you believe caused you injury, is I want to know speed, time, and distance. And using any two of these key elements, I can figure out the third. So let's say the driver said he was going at 30 miles per hour. So here's a series of questions I'm going to be asking the driver of the other car. Mr. Jones, how far away were you at the time you first saw my client's car before the impact? Oh, I was a quarter of a mile away. And now, what was your speed at the time you first saw my client's car? Oh, I was going 30 miles an hour. And how long did it take you to go from that point, that quarter mile, until you actually reached my client's car and you had that impact? And now they're going to tell me some time, let's say 15 seconds. Now, what have I done? What I've done is I've gotten specific information from the driver of the other car about their speed, about the time it took them to go from one point to the point of impact, as well as the distance. And now I can plug that information into a formula that will tell me exactly whether or not that information is correct and whether or not that person was speeding. Now, they may not be exact 100%, and now I can establish parameters and now an approximation of what their speed was based upon the time it took them to go from one point to the next, as well as the distance that they traveled during that period of time. In addition to those calculations, we also get testimony from other witnesses as well as you, the person who was driving, who was involved in this particular accident. And your perceptions of whether or not somebody may have been speeding might be relevant and might be permissible at the time of trial. So why do I share this great information with you? I share it with you to give you an insight and an understanding into what we do in a car accident case here in the state of New York. You know, I realize you're watching this because you have questions or concerns about your own particular matter. Well, if your matter did happen here in New York and you do have legal questions, what I encourage you to do is pick up the phone and call me. I can answer your legal questions. You know, this is something I do every single day and I'd love to talk to you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at oginski-law.com. That's it for today's quick video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a great day.